Morning. How are you? Sunday, May 21st, 2023. I'm Larissa. How am I? Mm, tired. No, I'm not waking up feeling refreshed. No, I'm not. Tired. Oh, there's all kinds of pollen in the air. My sinuses are like all. I have pressure on my face. Mm. Got a nice letter from the vet who saw a snooty bird. Yeah. She was loved. I love my birds. That was nice of her. Nice of Dr. Dang to write me a letter or write a little card. It was nice of her to do that. Yeah. So yesterday, oh my god, that's so much fun. Oh, yesterday I did the final study, and I decided to do an illustration from that dream from the Bosnia conflict. I guess technically most of my dreams are nightmares. Although when people say they have nightmares, they generally like have lots and lots of anxiety about the dreams. I only have dreams, or I only have anxiety about my dreams when they're when I have dreams, when I have the prophetic ones. So there's certain types of dreams that tell me something's going to happen, and I know because there's imagery that is consistent, right? Like a birth generally means a death. Like if I dream about somebody having a baby, right? Then it's usually a dream about them about there being a death in life, right? And the opposite is true. When I dream about a death, it generally means there's a birth coming. So it's consistent. So when I see babies in dreams, I'm a little anxious. Yeah. But what are you gonna do? Yeah, the last time I had a baby dream, I dreamt that Mike Rossi brought me a bloody little baby, a blood covered newborn baby. That he knocked on my front door holding this, and he was holding it out to me like, look at this. I was like, oh my God. And then after that, like 4 or 5 months after that, he was somebody gave him fentanyl without, like, he didn't know it. And he almost died. They had to resuscitate him. Yeah. So that's when I have those dreams, when I have the baby dreams, the dreams with babies in them. That's when I get a little like, oh my God. Because I don't like having that information. What are you going to do with it? Nothing. I'm not allowed to do anything with it. Right? I'm not allowed to say anything about it. Yeah. If I said anything about it, then it would compromise my card readings. Right? Energetically. Yeah. So I don't say nothing. I don't. Yeah, anyway, I did the drawing from the Bosnia conflict. When I was working on it, I was like not in a good mood because I was like thinking about this dream, and it was like really awful. I had some people come in, but it felt like street theater. It didn't feel like it was weird. And woman, I feel uncomfortable when people come in with masks on. I do. It makes me uncomfortable when people come into the gallery with masks on. And I understand, like, some people, they only feel comfortable now going out with a mask on their face, but I understand psychologically, that that's where some people still are, or will always be, or are now, or whatever, and I accept that. But it makes me really uncomfortable when people come into the gallery. I'm like, okay, are you not well enough to be out around people? Like, if you're that sick, stay home, right? Or are you saying that I'm too dirty to be around? I don't. Or you don't need to worry about my health. I really don't care. Like, I don't know. But really, like, the mask is just like, okay, who is this in my space when it comes down to it? Like, forget all those other stuff. It's like, who are you? If you do something crazy in my space, I can't even describe you, right? I can't pick you out in a lineup because you got your face covered. Yeah. So that's why people coming in my space with a mask makes me uncomfortable. I don't say anything, right? What are you going to say? Please take off your mask. And it's all ridiculous. Anyway, yeah. But the guy she was with didn't have a mask on his face. He wanted to talk about museums in San Francisco, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about museums in San Francisco. I don't have anything nice to say. Plus, I was working on this. I was covered, like, my hands were all dirty. I couldn't even, like, get up and touch anything. And I was dealing with this really heavy subject matter. I don't know. Maybe I was a little cranky. Had a total of 30 people in a gallery yesterday. It's like I have a sign out front that says no photography. And inevitably, it's like there's always someone. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's an Asian woman who will take a photo. And I'm like, it says no photography. Right? And I don't understand it. Right? Why do people feel entitled? Why do they feel entitled to that? Why do they feel entitled? It's odd to me. It is. Oh, you're a social influencer. Oh, you have TikTok. Oh, you have Instagram. I don't want my shit on there. No, I don't want my shit on there so people can copy it. Right? That's not making me any money. I don't want, if I wanted to be on Instagram, I'd be on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not interested in using any Mark Zuckerberg products, and I am not interested in your fucking popularity contest. No. No, I'm not. Mm. Oh my God, the pollen is so high today. I can still, that azalea. There's even more blooms on that azalea out there right now. There is. There's birds out in it right now. They're little birds. I see little birds flitting around. Tweedly tweet tweet. Yeah, so this drawing, I opted not the image. So I was talking about in the dream, there's this tree with all these gourds, and I didn't put in that tree with the gourds. The tree with the gourds was behind me. So, like, the pile of people was to the foot of the picnic table, and I was laying under a couple other people, and there were the currant bushes, the berry bushes, and they were currants, and then there was this tree. And so, like, I'm laying underneath these people, kind of looking up at the I can see up on the picnic table, and I can see into the currant bushes, and I can look up into this tree that's above me that has these gourds hanging above me. And the view is looking at, kind of like at towards the picnic table or over the picnic table kind of thing. So that the tree with the gourds is behind the viewer. And you're looking back into the meadow, and there's apple trees, and there's the house and the barn in the background. Yeah. And it's like this real pretty pastoral landscape, and then there's the picnic table with blood all over it. And then in the one little corner, I have some currant some currants like in the corner. So it's kind of ambiguous. There's the currants, and then there's the blood on the table, but is the blood on the table currant juice? And the poem that goes, because I finished the book yesterday too. So the poem starts for that one. It says, any other day I'd be picking currants and apples. Yeah, it was an intense. It was that dream in particular was intense. There was another one where I was walking through a city street and there were scattered dead bodies all over. There had been an explosion. I was in a like a corner store gas station, and there was an explosion while I was in the gas station, and everybody went running out of the gas station. Um, and it was like a mechanic shop. It was there was only like one pump outside, and it was like a mechanic shop, and there were tires and stuff all over the place. Anyway, we're running out into the street, and there was like rubble. There was some big building had come down, and or the front of a building, and there was like the building was like half standing, and the street was like all mess, and there was powder everywhere. And um oh, there was this big spot in the sidewalk that it was like it looked like a big like snowflake pattern like in the sidewalk, like there was some sort of mortar or shell or something had fallen, and there was blood all over the street. And there were like pieces of bodies, like there was walking past this one. It was like a really hairy man's arm. uh, yeah, that dream was bad. Yeah. Then there was one, I had one, it was just like in this room, and everybody was screaming, and there was this old woman like screaming at these children, and oh, some old bubby. She had babushka tied around her head. She was some old bubby yelling. It was those dreams were awful. She had big old snaggly tooth in the front. Like one tooth was turned, right? It was yeah. Yeah, those dreams were terrible. Those dreams were terrible, but this image, like, it looks all placid, pastoral. Yeah, I have no idea where the dream took place, or any of the dreams that I had during that time. Like, I don't know which side I was looking from. All I know is I was seeing dead people, and that's the way the dreams always are when I have them during war times. Like, I never know which side I'm looking from. There's no winners, right? Like, when you have dead bodies piling up, there's no winners. Either side, right? It doesn't matter. So I see them from both perspectives. So, like some of the dreams that I've had recently, I don't know if I'm looking from Russian soldiers' side or if I'm looking from Ukrainian soldiers' side, or like, yeah, because I've had them. I've had them. Yeah, yeah. So I finished the book yesterday, or the first volume. I got all the poems written, and I got everything formatted, and I have the proof ordered. So it'll be interesting to see, because I need to have one hard copy to do final edits on, and then I'll order some. I'll order some. Not a whole lot. I'll order like 3 to have in the gallery, because they're print on demand. So if they sell, I don't want to order a whole bunch of them, because they're not cheap to have printed. If they sell, then I can replace them, right? Fat face. Yeah, and then I got the next painting started. Yeah, yep. Got the next painting started. I'd say it's about more than a third. More than a third, but not quite halfway done. Oh God, what's going on in my eyeball? Look at that. I got eyelash in my eyeball. Yeah, the painting's intense. The painting's intense. I'm painting. I have decided that I'm going to paint them in the order that I drew them, and I decided in the book formatting that I was going to place them in the order that I drew them, as opposed to grouping together the drawings that come from the same dream. So yeah, so you can see the date and the signature on the images, but I didn't put the date of the poems, right? I didn't put the poem dates on them. I dated my introduction. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the book's going to look real nice. I'm real excited to see it. I ordered it in matte printing. I didn't order the extra super gloss. You get fingerprints, you get extra fingerprints on it. They get messy looking, and it's just extra chemical sprayed on there. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need shiny, shiny. No, I don't. Yeah, so we'll see. This woman comes in yesterday. I went to just go be nebby and walk around, see what was going on, like how many people were around town and what stores were busy and stuff, walking around. Because Omar was there, so I could. And I passed this woman sitting on the street, and I noticed her because she's like, wearing a big old expensive Stetson, and um, and she was a little unusual looking, right? She was unusual. She had a what looked like a growth in her lower abdomen, an abnormal shape, right? Not just a heavy fatness like she had. It looked like a big lump. So I noticed her, and I felt her energy. I'm like, oh, there's something going on with this lady. I passed her and went along my way. Well, when I get back to the gallery, finish the loop around, she's in the gallery and she's like thumbing through my drawings that I have tucked over in the side, which is like, you don't do that. You don't walk into a gallery and put your hands all over the paintings, right? It wasn't like it was the garments, right? Or the other, these were I said, can I help you? And she's like, I'm just looking at your drawings. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm just, because I could tell that there was something not right. And I didn't want to, push it and be like, hey, put those down. And she's like, will you draw me? How much? I'm like, it was weird. She's like, oh, I was a migrant worker. I'm like, oh, so that means that I should want to draw you? I'm like, I understand that there are a lot of artists in California who have made their, drawn the migrant workers. It's like, you're not a migrant worker now. She's telling me you and your mom own a house down around this corner, so you're not doing too bad, right? Your mom wasn't doing too bad. So it was bizarre, and then she kept like coughing at me, and this growth that like in her abdomen every time she coughed, it moved, and it was obviously like she had some sort of like growth on her abdomen, and I'm just like, there is something strange going on here. So I chatted with her for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, abruptly, she's like, well, it was nice chatting with you, and she like left, and I'm like, okay. But I was a little irritated with Omar because he was sitting out front, and I'm like, when people come in, you gotta come in. No, he just doesn't think. Caught up in himself. Like, why would you let somebody just walk in here and not come in, right? Yeah. Yeah, so the second painting I'm working on, it's the one that I think the dream took place in Sudan. It's one of the boats with the dead people in them. So I have the background and the middle ground done. And now, well, the boats are partially in the middle ground, partially in the foreground. It's an interesting split. So this painting, when I gridded it out, the first painting fell perfectly into the rule of thirds, right? It was amazing when I put the grid over the drawing. I was like, wow, Larissa, good for you. Like, looking at things compositionally and how they're laid out and stuff, and what's, So it was almost perfectly the rule of thirds for the first one. This one is broken into fifths, and odd number compositions are generally more appealing than even number. Now, even number, when you have an even ratio, you have more of a static composition. When you have an odd number, you have more of a dynamic composition. So your eye is drawn through the image more easily with a dynamic composition that's broken up into the odd numbers. The even numbers, you can have a moving composition. It's just a little more difficult to do. It's a little more challenging to do. And there's a couple of them. There's a couple of them that are even number. The image of the burning yurt, that's an even number composition. And what else? Are any of the other ones even number compositions? Oh, and the one for the burning image from inside the yurt, it's an even number composition, but it's balanced because it's on the diagonal, and so it's made more visually interesting because of that, and because of the palette. The palette's a very stark, limited palette. Anyway, the painting I'm working on right now is broken into fifths, and so the boats, they fall kind of at the line that delineates the midground from the foreground. And the closest part, of the foreground, the ground, the earth, that is, there's little detail in that. And working with that, part of what was so compelling visually about the dream was the earth itself, and that's what I was trying to focus on. Like, the bodies in the boat are just an incidental in the composition. That dirt was so compelling, the color was so compelling. And so the sky, I work, the sky is cobalt blue, lead white, and phthalo green. And I opted for the phthalo over the viridian because the viridian is less blue. It's less of a blue green. It's more of a yellow green. And I needed the blue green of the phthalo, but the phthalo green is that pigment. I like the color, but the pigment it's so hard to clean out of the brush. It like stains the brush bristles. Thank you. That phthalo green, it's awful. It's awful to get out of your brushes. Yeah. Yeah. So I have this painting on my brain, and I need to focus today on stuff that needs to be done around here so I can go in and paint tomorrow, right? Like, focus on today. I need to dust, and I need to sweep, and I would like to mop downstairs because I haven't mopped downstairs in a month. Just swept. So I'd like to mop. I'd like to mop downstairs, and there's laundry that I need to tend to still, and yeah, and I need to bake bread because we don't have any. I need to bake bread, and we're gonna barbecue tonight. That's what's going on here. I'd like to get some work done out in the garden, but that's not going to happen. Not today, no. No, maybe next weekend. Maybe. Maybe if I get a good cleaning done today, if I get real good cleaning done today, so that all I have to do next week is sweep, then I can get some garden work done next weekend. Yeah. Anyway.